Hey everybody, welcome to our early comics review video. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is our bigger show where we show you some of the biggest and best books that are releasing this week to your local comic book store, whether you shop with us at Infinity Flux, the store, infinityflux.net, or your own local comic book store. We are here to tell you a little bit more about what is coming out this week, and maybe prepare yourself a little bit better, know what you want to go in and pick up. Plus, we just like talking about these comics.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
It is fun, but we need to do a little housekeeping first. So this week is crazy. All right, so we've got a free comic book day coming up this Saturday, May 2nd, and we are doing a lot of work to get prepared for that. On top of that, our shipment of books from Lunar, so that's your DC books, that's your Image books, Mad Cave Vault, all those guys, that shipment only just now got to the store. So we actually don't have any of those physical books to show you yet because we're recording this early as well because I have a personal commitment tonight. So I can't, we don't have anything that we're able to show you physically when it comes to DC and Image and stuff. But by the time you see this video, everything will be available on the website at infinityflux.net. All of the regular covers, the variant covers, everything like that will all be available. It's just everything sort of happened all at the same time this week. And so this is going to be a little bit of a weird show. This is also the 5th Wednesday of the month, which the 5th Wednesdays are usually a little bit smaller than all of the other weeks as well. Plus, we have been working hard to read all 50 of the free Comic Book Day books, and we will have a bonus video posted tomorrow night, Tuesday night, to let you know what the books are and what they're about and things like that. And then there's a lot of work going on in the store to get ready for the day. So everything just kind of all happened at once. So if you'll just bear with us just this one episode, it's going to be a little bit different. But after this coming weekend, everything should be back to normal. But yeah, there's just a lot going on all at the same time.
It's a lot going on, but we still managed to make it work.
Yep.
And we're going to kick it off with a little magic.
Yeah. Zatanna #1. So I should have mentioned too that fortunately our DC and our Image books are only just now arrived at the store, but Andy and I do have digital preview copies of several of them, so we can still talk about them. We just don't have the physical books in our hands to show you, but we do have Zatanna #1. This is written and drawn by Jamal Campbell. This is basically a follow-up to his 5-issue Zatanna miniseries that came out last year, which was gorgeous, one of the most beautiful books on the stands. You do not have to have read that miniseries to read this, though. But if you did, then you'll get an even bigger story. But in this first issue, Zatanna has become the Prime Magus, which is essentially the DC Universe's version of Sorcerer Supreme. And her first order of business as the Prime Magus is to chase a plague spirit that's been possessing various people across various realms. And she finally does catch up to it in the City of Elves. And the plague spirit has possessed an elf named Vaira, and Zatanna fights it in the Mindscape. So we are treated to several pages of just beautiful artwork and really cool, like, magical action with Zatanna using all kinds of cool magic and tricks and things like that to fight as she binds it with magic, and she uses tricks to or magic to like evade its attacks and things like that, and it's all so beautifully done. I don't want to tell you what happens, but the story with this plague spirit is wrapped up in this first issue. That piece of it's kind of a one and done. However, there is a larger story that's set up near the end, and there are some other threats teased, that threats that she's going to have to deal with as the series progresses. And I should have mentioned too, this is an ongoing series too. This is not a miniseries, but this is a gorgeous book. It's every bit as beautiful as that miniseries from last year. It's really fun to read. It was a little bit confusing at first. I did have to read it a couple times before I fully understood what was going on. But once I sort of reconciled it in my head, I mean, it was great. Zatanna's really fun. I like the way Jamal Campbell writes her because she's regardless of the threat she's facing, she seems like she's having fun doing it.
Yeah.
She seems very confident in her abilities. So yeah, I'm really excited to see those other threats that were teased. I'm excited to see her take those on. Will she keep up that same level of happiness, I guess, while taking those on? But just Another excellent next level book from DC. They are, what is this, the fifth one now or sixth? I think they're, yeah, this is the fifth one, I believe.
Hmm.
They're 5 for 5 now on these next level books. And spoiler alert, Barbara Gordon Breakout.
Hmm.
That one's really good too. We've read that one, so all the next level books are great. But yeah, definitely don't miss this one, especially if you like the miniseries from last year.
Yeah, this, I mean, you could say this about the previous miniseries, but is like the comic equivalent of like a AAA game title.
Yeah.
Like with the art and everything. This is another level of like, you don't see this kind of art in mini comics. So,
Yeah.
pick it up, try it out. You'll love it. Zatanna already is such a great
Yeah.
character, and this is one of the best iterations we've seen of her.
Yeah, and again, by the time you see this video, this cover and all of its variants will be available on the Infinity Flex website. You can go there and see everything that we have available.
Well, moving on, we have Red Roots #1. This is one I got to read. I read this a few weeks ago, and it really stuck with me. Even before it was like I read it, I think the week the solicitation or the orders came up for it, the FOC, and I was like, how am I going to talk about this in like a truncated version?
Yeah, it's almost like two separate books. Like, how do you talk about that?
So this is by Lorenzo De Felici, who was your artist on Oblivion Song with Robert Kirkman, but he is helming the writing and the art on here, and I think the coloring as well. Like most everything, it's a letter by Russ Wooten. This is super interesting, and when you get the book, there's kind of a note from Lorenzo in it at the end that's kind of like what inspired this, and it definitely plays off of the theme of like kind of two desperate things and how they might eventually come together. And that's what the story feels like as well. So we start this book with, you see this cover, you're like, oh, it's very horror. Well, we actually start with like a break-in at this facility with this very skilled assassin-like character. He's a little John Wick. He has the upper hand in every situation.
Yeah.
He's snapping necks and
Taking names.
Yeah, jump their windows and doing all crazy stuff. Very like action movie style. But we don't know what is at this facility that he's at, what his end goal is. We don't even know who he is, any of that. And just when you start getting into that, the gears switch, and we switch over to a teacher, and she's really a very normal, kind of like middle school or high school teacher. She's got her class. She goes and talks with some other teachers in the teachers' lounge. They even bring up that like she's super normal and she comes from a very like stable and happy home life and everything. We follow her home. We find out that she lives by herself, but she does have a cat. You can see the cat here on the cover. Or she might have a couple of cats. I think she does have a couple of cats. Everything's going well until she goes to her closet in her bedroom and finds something very disturbing just sitting there. And you might have an idea about what that is with this cover. But that, at first you're like, oh, she's hallucinating or it's some supernatural thing. No, I actually like that it goes to the point of like the police come in and
they see it.
They see it. I always hate that, and they get there and then, oh, we don't see anything.
Yeah,
You're like, oh no, this like she has to leave so they can like fully like check out the house and everything. But it's like, what does this have to do with that first story about this guy breaking into this facility and everything? We don't quite know. But things do start to ramp up with both stories, but particularly the teacher story as she is allowed back into her house and some of the stuff that starts happening. And then you get to the final page where whatever you thought before is kind of blown out the window when you see something else appear. And I don't know if it throws the series into more supernatural, horror, fantasy. It goes crazy.
Yeah,
If we had one of the variants, you would get an idea about it. But especially, this book with its cliffhanger is definitely one of those of like, well, I have to see what happens next because what's even going on. So they're not confusing stories, but first you're kind of questioning why they kind of exist in the same book. I will say you do get a idea why the book is called Red Roots. That plays a part later on in the book. Yeah, it's super cool, super weird, pretty scary. The art is good. Feels very fresh. Like, it doesn't feel like I've read this story before. So I highly recommend Red Roots #1, the next probably big book from Image.
Hmm.
So again, check the website. We've got a bunch of variants. I know there's a Mike Mignola variant. There's a Ryan Otley variant. A lot of really cool variants to check out.
Well, next we have Batman Wonder Woman Truth. This is written by Jeff Loeb. The art is by Jim Chung. And this is a 48-page one shot that takes place fairly soon after the original Batman Hush story. Although this doesn't really reference anything from that story. So if you haven't read that story, you can still read this. Um, I'm not really, this illustration really, goes to great lengths. Say this is, following up on Hush, but I don't know.
I think you can just kind of say
You
it's
could just,
it's based in the Batman timeline of what early 2000s.
yeah, like that era. Yeah.
That look for the characters.
Yeah, for sure. But in this story, Wonder Woman loans her magic lasso to a charity exhibition at the Wayne Foundation, but it's not there very long before somebody steals it right in front of everybody. The lights go out, they come back on, and the lasso is gone. So Batman and Wonder Woman have to trek across Gotham City to try to track down who stole it, why they stole it, and that kind of thing. And I mean, it's a pretty simple story, and I say that's not a bad thing. It's not really heavy with a bunch of moving parts and a lot of different characters. It's really just where is the lasso? Who took it? Why did they take it? How do we get it back from them? That kind of thing. It's a really cool story though. It's complete one and done, beginning, middle, and end. You can read this pretty much at any time you want. It's a great. It would be a great book for new readers. If anybody's wanted to read Batman or Wonder Woman, you can definitely pick this up without really any prior knowledge of anything. The artwork from Jim Chung is really nice. There's some great action. There's a little bit of humor. Yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say about it other than it's just a big mystery of how to get Wonder Woman's lasso back. But yeah, it looks great.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind more books like this too, which is hey, just a one and done story. Read it, have fun, and then read
Yeah,
it.
yeah. This is. I know there's a lot of question early on. This is just a one shot.
One shot, yeah.
But if this is successful, maybe we'll get more stuff
Yep.
like this, which I think is a really fun. Almost like Marvel's kind of retro series
Yeah.
of like, hey, let's tell a story set in the kind of Batman Hush time frame.
Yeah.
You can see on the cover with like Catwoman in her garb of the time. There's also a few surprise characters that pop up in
Yeah.
here that are great to see. So yeah, it just feels like a cool classic Batman Wonder Woman team up
Yeah.
story. Well, next up we have Justice League Intergalactic Special. You'll see we kind of heavy loaded this with DC books at the beginning, but we wanted to get through all the ones that we didn't have physical copies of first. And we're continuing that with Justice League Intergalactic Special. This is by Nicole Mange and Jadzia Axelrod. The art is by Travis Moore, which the art in this is great. So this is really interesting. This is more of it's kind of a one-shot issue, but also a kickoff into the upcoming Pride series starring Dreamer and Galaxy. It's going to be coming up in a month or so. That's going to be, I think, 4 issues, and each of them are kind of by a different creative team or a different artist or something like that, which we'll be talking about that on one of our future Comics from the Future shows. But this one tells the story of this Justice League team because there's a planet called Naltor, and the Green Lanterns that are there protecting and everything run up against a villain called the Witch Queen, which I mean they reference, and it's like back from like a pretty early Green Lantern story.
Yeah.
Like in like the 60s or something, like the issue 60s of
Oh, right,
Green
yeah.
Lantern. Which is fun. I always like when they dig up some older characters. And she has the ability to harness the planet's dream energy in hopes of like overthrowing everything. Well, luckily you have some DC characters that have a little knowledge about dreams and all of that. So Star Sapphire actually assembles a team of kind of spacefaring Justice League members, including the ones you see on the cover. So you've got Adam Strange there, which is awesome. They also get Green Arrow,
Yeah.
which is a great addition because he doesn't like space. He doesn't like doing any of that. But they essentially say they got him because they didn't want to get Hal Jordan involved because already too many Green Lanterns have been taken over by the Witch Queen. They wanted Black Canary, but she was busy, so they got Green
Yeah.
Arrow.
He was like the second alternate.
The second
whatever.
alternate, and they're like, you can help fly the ship or use the turret or whatever. They're like, it's kind of like shooting an arrow,
Yeah.
I guess. And so that part's really fun. Green Arrow is a great addition to this. They also get Galaxy involved, and then Galaxy goes and gets Dreamer, even though Dreamer currently is kind of like a most wanted person since all the crazy stuff that happened back in
Was the Secret Six miniseries
the Secret Six
from
miniseries,
a year or two
and
ago?
yeah, all of that. So Dreamer very hesitantly, is involved, but she is involved because right when this is all going down, she has a dream or a vision of all of this stuff going down and potentially like the horrible end game of this witch queen and what could happen to her fellow Justice League members. So she reluctantly decides to join them as well, and they are going to go up against this witch queen using all of their powers of dreams and all of that. It's really fun to see how Dreamer even gets to the ship, because she can travel in
Yeah.
people's dreams or if they're unconscious.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's mostly just it's a team up of these fun characters, kind of a space feels a little Green Lantern-y in the kind of aliens they're dealing with and all of that, but it does end with a kind of setup for that next miniseries that's coming up in a month. So if you like these characters, if you like the more intergalactic Justice League universe, you'll probably like this. I really like Dreamer. I really like Adam Strange. I really like Green Arrow. I like Star Sapphire. It's a cool book with a very weird cast that you don't really see together. But Star Sapphire makes a great team leader. You realize like why she's very competent.
I did think it was a little quick going, because in the early issues of Justice League Unlimited, they're like almost treating her like she's a rookie.
Yeah.
And then in this one, she's like, I've got to teach you how to be a Justice Leaguer, and she's calling the shots. So it was a little bit weird to see her go from, what is this? I never thought she should have been treated like a rookie, but new to the Justice League in the early pages of JLU to this, it was a little bit weird seeing her go from one extreme to another so quickly. But
well, I always believed in her.
Right.
I know you needed her to prove herself. I believed in her.
We never saw her train. No, that's a joke. I'm joking.
But Adam Strange also doesn't play as big of a part as I wanted him to, just because I think he's just such a great character. But if you like stuff like this, I believe it's a little oversized. I'm not sure exactly how many pages it is.
Yeah, I think it's maybe 30 or 32 pages.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, this was fun. Check it out. And moving on.
We have Swamp Thing 1989 #1, or if you see right here on the cover, it says number 88.
I've missed 87 issues of this year's series of Swamp Thing.
I know, right? So this is written by Rick Veitch and the art is by Michael Zulli, and that was your creative team on Swamp Thing back in the late 80s, from probably around, I think it was like 89 going back to maybe around 86 or something like that. But this is the start of a 4-issue miniseries that aims to recreate the final 4 issues of Rick Veitch's original run from back in the mid to late 80s that were never published. So the story is that Swamp Thing was being pulled further and further backwards in time until he arrived at the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. And at the time, that was deemed a little bit too controversial, so DC said they weren't going to publish it. So Rick Veitch actually left the book, and then they did publish. They did continue that story, but with a whole different script. Well, this is interesting because this is using his original script. It's almost like we're going back to see what should have or what would have come out if DC had allowed it. And really, it's just the story of the crucifixion, although it's told in a way that I've never really seen or heard before. It's a little bit more. It's almost a little bit more supernatural and a little bit spooky than maybe what you're taught in Sunday school. But the really interesting thing about this, and what kills me that we don't have the physical book in hand right now, because the real gem of this is the physical book itself. Because, like I said, they use Rick Veitch's original script, and they use Michael Zulli's original pencils, because he did pencil it back then. It was never colored back then, but it was colored today by Trish Mulvihill, using the original CMYK color grading that was available at the time. And they printed it on newsprint as well. So DC went to great lengths to make this feel like it did come out back in 1989, like it should have. We were on a call with DC a few weeks ago, and they were telling us all about the physical production of this book. And they said their goal was that somebody who had those original issues of Swamp Thing could take this book and drop it in a long box right behind them, and it would feel completely, perfectly in place. So this is as classic as you can get. The only thing that's modern about this is that it says it's Black Label and then it's $4.99.
I think some of the ads and stuff.
Oh, were there ads?
Oh, is there ads in it?
Well, our digital copy
Yeah, I'm not
didn't
sure
have,
if the physical one what that looks like in it, but
yeah, because we read a digital copy, so ours didn't. I don't know what if there are modern ads in it. I'm not sure about that part of it, but you know, it uses the original Swamp or the Swamp Thing logo from the time. It has the old school DC Bullet logo. And yeah, this is the first again of a 4-issue miniseries that is going to show us what Rick Beach's original 4-issue ending to his run would have looked like. Later on, once you get to issues like 3 and 4, it is a different penciler. Michael Zulli didn't pencil the whole 4-issue thing, but yeah, I mean, it's really neat that you know, they went to great lengths to make this feel as authentic as possible. They've been killing it on the modern books, and now they're treating the classics with a lot of care too. So just props to DC for doing that.
yeah, it feels very you know, you hear all that, it's like, oh cool, but when they were talking to us about it, it felt almost like you know, like what a museum would go through to reconstruct like a, you know, a dinosaur, but they don't have all the bones to it, but they go to great lengths to like fill in the pieces and use all the best things they can do to like or to refinish an old painting if it's torn up, to not use anything that would like take away from its originalness of it. That's what they're doing with this. So I think this is like a mix of, one, it's a story you've never got, but also preservation of a story and pencils and stuff that you know, that were also never seen but are so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely check this one out. Also, the variant cover, we don't have a picture here, was like one of the last pieces of art that the artist Michael Zulli ever did. Before he passed away, and they managed to make that the variant cover. So be on the lookout for that at InfinityFlux.
Definitely go check that out right there.
But that is it for our magical books from nowhere. But I'm going to continue on because we did get our Marvel stuff in, and I'm going to continue on with Doom 2099 Rage of Doom #1. I really like this. This is one of my favorite books this week. This is a one-shot, but much like the previous Doom 2099 book was a one-shot that came out during One World Under Doom. This one is by the same creative team of Frank Thierry and Von Randall. And where the previous one, we found that Doom 2099, you know, in the year 2099, very much regretted what happened during One World Under Doom and becoming the Sorcerer Supreme, and the destruction that caused. He regrets it. You know, this is kind of a Doom that's seen the error of his ways, and attempts to go back in time to try to prevent himself by getting all these like time displaced heroes together. But he kept losing over and over to Doom, his past self, and just being kind of almost disgusted by the hubris of his past self that he couldn't see, even though it was himself telling him from the future. He couldn't see that and wouldn't believe him. So in the previous one, all of his means of time travel ran out or were destroyed, like the time platform he had and everything. This one we pick up where he is very desperate now. He is all out of options, and he's actually has his Doombots, which his Doombots in this he created to look like the heroes of yesteryear. So they are familiar faces, but they're actually all Doombots. Scour this kind of ruined Earth that he himself caused to try to find some scraps to try to make another time machine for a final attempt to right his wrongs in the past. And one day, one of his Doombots brings him back the head of Ultron. And, you know, Ultron, super smart computer, but super dangerous. But Doom doesn't really have much of an option. He's going to try to hook up Ultron, thinking that maybe I can, you know, one, he doesn't have a body, but also I can kind of reprogram him to work for me, and maybe we can accomplish this. But do you trust Ultron, even if he's just a head and all of that? How far does his influence go?
Doom really should have quit while he was ahead.
Yeah, he should have. But it's some cool twists and turns. Some stuff with the Doombots is really cool. This was just a really fun issue. It is a one and done story for the most part, but there does leave the door open for the next time we could see probably another Doom 2099 one shot at the end of this, which I don't know, is it going to pop up during another event or something, but it is a cool place that it leaves the story that I do really want to see.
Yeah, I kind of like I mean, I really like this, and I wouldn't have minded if this had been a miniseries, but I also kind of like the idea that, you've got all your Marvel books and all these stories are happening, but also in the background, every so often, Doom 2099 is going to pop up with a really cool story. And how is that going? What's that going to lead into, if anything at all? And yeah, I mean, I kind of like the idea that, oh yeah, it's time for another Doom 2099 book, continuing on the last one that we got. I don't know that I love them being a year apart because I really like them, but great artwork in this too.
There's some 2-page spreads of, like, even in the flashbacks of Doom as Sorcerer Supreme, just like his magic and everything. That's like, this is pretty incredible.
The only confusing thing is, in One World Under Doom, the heroes beat Doom.
Yeah.
So shouldn't this have all just vanished?
He just didn't get the memo.
Right. I guess or maybe this is a different universe, or maybe like it takes a while for the future to catch up with, or maybe just don't worry about it and have fun. How about that? Let's just do that.
They'll use the term ripples in the time stream, and then you don't worry about it. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. Highly recommended. You don't have to have read the previous one. It does fill you in on everything. Yeah. But yeah,
we do recommend reading the previous one though, because that was really
that one was
cool
great too.
Yeah.
Like, these are little gems that come out that I really fun. So once again, we don't have the variants, but check them out at infinityflux.net, and there is that one.
And then moving on to Punisher number 3. I've been enjoying this series. One of my criticisms is that there hasn't really been a lot of action in the first 2 issues. The artwork is so gorgeous from Jose Luis Suarez. It looks so good. I want to see some action, right? We haven't really seen much, but we do get some in here. The doctor that Punisher and Microchip went to see last issue, who couldn't figure out what was wrong with Punisher, what's causing him these like pain, almost like extreme migraines, I guess you could describe it. Every time he causes violence, he goes out and he beats up a guy, and then he starts like, his head feels like it's going to explode. The doctor couldn't figure out what was wrong with him, but he did give him some lithium pills to take to try to ease the pain a little bit. And Punisher says, actually, these pills do help. And so he goes out on the street and starts dealing with all manner of criminals, from muggers, purse snatchers, that kind of thing. And all the while, he's just popping these pills like candy. He even uses them as a food topping at one point. So we see the Punisher doing some classic Punisher stuff. We also see Jigsaw make a big move against all the other crime families because, Wilson Fisk isn't around, Tombstone's in jail, so that's left a big power vacuum in New York, and Jigsaw's going after that. The big thing about this book is that we do learn, the doctor couldn't figure it out last issue, but we find out this issue what is causing the Punisher to have those extreme migraines that he has after he commits violence. And it's very interesting. And the last page it's one of those where it's like, whoa, I need to, like, I hate that you ended right there, because I really need to see the next one, because I have questions and I got to see how they write themselves out of this one, basically. So it's really cool, though. My favorite issue of the series so far. I've been loving all of it, but this is the best one so far. And I cannot wait to see the next one, because that last page it's pretty crazy.
Well, next up, I realized we didn't have our little stands to put our next.
Yeah, I've got them right here.
Yeah, this is a weird week.
This is a weird show, yeah.
So next up, I've got Wolverine's Weapons of Armageddon number 3, continuing our lead into the Avengers Armageddon series coming out in a few months. You'll be getting a taste of that on Free Comic Book Day coming up this Saturday. If you pick up the Avengers X-Men, Avengers X-Men is the 2-for-1. You'll get a little bit of that, but this is still leading in, and this is one of the best issues of this so far. One, because we get some more backstory on David Colton, even stuff that we didn't see in Captain America in that first story arc. We actually see kind of him go through their equivalent of this super soldier project, and leading up to, him being very hesitant on taking up the name Captain America, but how we got to basically where we see him in Captain America. But in the present day, we see Wolverine finally wield the shield of Colton's shield against Nuke, what they've been fighting through this entire thing. But it's really cool. We've been teased with Wolverine with the Captain America shield, and he does actually get it. And they do talk about like, you're indestructible. Why do you need the shield? But it is really cool. So most of this issue is action, whether it's in the present or in the past with Colton. It's really cool going back and forth. The other big thing we see is this character here, although he still does not look like this. We know he's the kid they've been tracking who escaped from the I keep want to call it like Super Core.
Prime Warrior.
Prime Warrior, the Prime Warrior facility, and he is on the run with one of the origin boxes.
Super Core is in Superman.
Yeah, you know.
It's another crossover.
It's just another superhero world mixed with a corporation. But he is on the run with one of the origin boxes that we still don't really know where he got this one. Because we assume Miles Morales still has that one under his bed.
Yeah, did he steal it from Prime Warrior? I'm not sure. But where did they get it?
We still don't know all of that.
Yeah.
But this kid now is on the run, but he does have a plan involving that, and maybe he wants to make a deal with Prime Warrior and all of them. So, really cool issue. Like, I think we got one issue left?
One issue left, yeah.
There's a lot to wrap up in one issue.
Yeah, and well, you know, in the solicitation, I read ahead and it said that in the next issue, Wolverine has to make a very important decision, and that decision will directly lead into Avengers Armageddon #1. I have a theory about what it is, but yeah, I mean, one more issue, but which will come out in May, and because there can't be another one after that, because after that is Armageddon. So
yeah, and I kind of have a feeling too of what his decision will have to be, and that may mean we get more big superheroes later. But yeah, this was really fun. So if you're reading this, the next chapter of it is here. And here is your A cover, which is pretty sick, even though that does not happen.
Right. Great artwork, too.
Yeah, great.
That works really good. Well, kind of along those same lines is Captain America #10. This is part 5 of the Doom's Shadows storyline. And I believe this is the final showdown between Captain America and Salvation right here. This cover is actually very representative of what happens in the book. Captain America does ride a horse, which is cool, you know, as he fights Salvation. So while that's going on, Trevor Tambling and the Red Widow, which is 2 of the new S.H.I.E.L.D. agents that we've been introduced to in this story arc, they go to where Doom's greatest weapon is supposed to be hidden, and they find something very, very interesting, very surprising there, and something surprising also happens while they're there. And there is a very, very surprising ending that will have people talking. This story, as far as I know, is not over. Now, this storyline is supposed to lead us into Avengers Armageddon as well, but I think that's more from the perspective of General Ross and his little rogue squadron, but that's not a Star Wars one, but a squadron of people who are following him. And you know, we know that we've seen on some future covers there's going to be some Red Hulk action and maybe some other Hulks too. So this is leading into Armageddon from that perspective, I think, whereas Wolverine Weapons of Armageddon is leading into it from the perspective of the origin boxes and what does that mean? What does that mean? But these two books are careening toward each other, and when they crash, that's what's going to result in Avengers Armageddon. So it was a little bit unclear for a while, but I think that's what's going to happen. But yeah, the ending of this is very, very interesting. Lots of great action, great artwork, and this Valerio Schiti is back on art. So yeah, if you've been reading this series, definitely don't miss this one because this is one of the best ones yet.
Well, and next up I have Planet She-Hulk issue #6. This is the final issue of Planet She-Hulk. This was originally supposed to be an ongoing. Then it got chopped down to 10 issues and then down to 6 issues. So Stephanie Phillips, you could tell, had a big story plan for this. And did the best with what she had at this point.
She's talked about it on podcasts too, where she said, you know, before this came out, she said, when this comes out, you will notice that it's quite a bit different than the other ones. She's like, we really just did the best that we could, you know?
Yeah, and so the previous issue, it looked like they were setting up She-Hulk to be the queen of Sakaar and all this crazy stuff. Well, this one picks up and she's on Earth. And she's doing her lawyer job. She's actually defending Rhino in court, which is great, and I would actually love to see a lot more of that. But there's a sudden flash, and Juno from Sakaar, who is one of the villains from the series so far, arrives in the courtroom looking for Jennifer Walters. But what's the weird thing is She-Hulk does not recognize her, and when they start to talk, does not remember anything about Sakaar being there, any of the shenanigans that went on during the series. So what is up with that? I promise you, the whole thing was not a dream sequence.
Right.
Which at first I was like, oh no, it's gonna go the way of like that actually never happened or that was a clone. No, there is an explanation for it. What I do really like about this is you do see what the story would have been. It does kind of fast forward you through kind of here's the things that you did and you know how you did this to Sakaar and how you became this and you know it kind of goes through if there was you know 4 more issues or this was an ongoing you do see maybe where that would have gone and that's really fun but you know, unfortunately, it has to cram a lot into this one issue. Um, there is some fun meta commentary in this, as She-Hulk, as, you know, a fourth wall breaking character. There's even something they mentioned in here that was really fun. Juno breaks the fourth wall and mentions something about uh, a, a She-Hulk comic or something. But I will say there is a door left open at the end of this that we could see kind of the fulfillment of some of these story plots that we were given earlier on in the series. But you know, Marvel, let it
Let him cook.
let them cook.
Let your creators cook.
Yeah, this is a shame it's going to end here, but still get it. Show your support for this series. Stephanie Phillips did a great job writing this. It had a lot of great artists involved, from what Aaron Cooter to a few other artists that came in and out through it. But yeah,
One silver lining about it ending now, if you know, if we can find any positive, is Stephanie Phillips did say that the fact that this ended now means that that could leave the door open for She-Hulk Jennifer Walters to guest star in Daredevil.
Yeah.
She said there's no, you know, she's already has her plans for Daredevil through at least issue like 13 or something like that. She said that's not a part of the plans right now, but you know, now that She-Hulk is not on Sakaar anymore, she could pop up in Daredevil one day maybe, and I would love that.
I would love that.
You know, if you're just trying to find any kind of positive in this.
Yeah, she comes in and maybe is like a substitute teacher for his class
Yeah, that'd be
someday
great,
or something. But yeah, final issue of Planet She-Hulk right here.
Yep. Well, moving on, we've got the Ultimates number 23. This is the next to last issue of the Ultimates before the whole universe goes away. And hey, remember when Thor was on the Ultimates? We haven't seen him in pretty much since the series started. Well, this one, it's obviously from Dennis Camp and Stephen Morian, who is the artist on Bleeding Hearts right now with Dennis Camp. He's the artist on this issue as well. So this is not told in the traditional comic book style with various panels and things like that. Every page of this is almost like a mural with little blocks of text, sort of telling a story. It's almost like you're reading a storybook, actually, is probably a good way to describe this. The text uses a lot of alliteration, which was fun, but also made it a little bit tricky to read at some points. And the story that's being told is essentially the story of Ragnarok, as gods fighting other gods across the various realms. We get Thor versus Loki, we get Sif versus Mangog, Surtur versus the Destroyer armor, and lots more. Odin is in there, and it's just this very storybook, picturesque story that's told from beginning to end. There's only a couple of times where there's even any word balloons at all. It's basically like a, you know, imagine you're a kid and you're laying in bed and your mom or dad is reading you a bedtime story. This is kind of what that's like.
Yeah, it reminds me of like in God of War when you find like the things like the giant stories where he like opens the thing and it's like this kind of relief painting that goes across and you're following kind of a linear story of and then this happened and then this happened. It very much has that like old-timey way of storytelling. Yeah, but kind of weird for an Ultimates book.
Yeah, well, you know, it's you can just, I don't know. It's just the fact that stories like this are great, but the fact that we're getting all this storytelling right at the end of everything just feels a little bit weird, you know, especially with the other issues where, you know, we got, oh, all of a sudden we have the Ultimate Vision and there's a whole story there, but too bad we're not going to get it and all this stuff. So It was great to have Thor back. I don't know if we're going to see him in Ultimates number 24, or if anything that happens in here will reflect Ultimate Endgame at all. So it's cool, but it's just weird that it's all happening so late.
Again, it does feel like Denise Camp. Maybe this was an issue that was planned when he didn't know the series was ending.
Yeah.
And, suddenly it came up and it's like, well, that script's already written. So,
just might as well just do it. Yeah. But so very interesting book though. So there is the A cover, and again, variants are at infinityflix.net.
And one issue left of that.
That's right.
Real briefly, I wanted to mention that the Ignition Press book Ripcord issue number 3 comes out this week, and this was a really good issue.
The best one of the
series. They actually gave us,
yeah.
The first issue we talked about, like, almost nothing happens and nothing was explained. It was so good.
Yeah,
but
this makes up for that.
But with we learned about this drug called Ripcord, but we didn't know anything about it, what it did. We just have our main character Dylan looking for her sister in the Australian outback, and that's basically what the first 2 issues are.
Mm-hmm.
In this one, we learn kind of what Ripcord at least does and how dangerous it is, and maybe kind of makes it a genre of some kind. It gave me some feelings of a certain other thing. But yeah, we find out what happened to Dylan's sister. We find out what happened to the person that she was traveling with. Like, we get a bunch of answers in this one, and I really kind of like that now that there was a slow start, and then we get this, and it's like, whoa. Okay, now I understand a lot of this.
Yeah, and especially with a couple things we see in this, had me thinking, oh, maybe this is a different type of story than what I originally thought. So this actually, you're going along in the first couple issues, and then this issue comes along, and oh, now we're doing this instead. So
yeah, it's really interesting, really cool. The art's great. This is it just proves why Cullen Bunn is such a great horror writer. Even though the first few issues didn't really feel horror, this is pretty cements itself in the horror genre.
Good action too. Yeah.
Good action. Check it out if you can still pick up the first 2. You haven't read them, get those. Pick this one up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've got Wonder Man number 2. I think this is a 5-issue miniseries, and in the beginning of this issue shows us how Randolph Chancellor, who we met last issue, went from essentially Wonder Man's sidekick to the successful voice actor that he became. There was a specific reason why that happened. But he's in hot water with the cops because he's a suspect in the case of the murder of his agent, although I do not remember that plot point from the first issue. So that was a little bit of a jarring thing. It was a little bit hard to follow because there's a lot of characters in this, and there's a lot of dialogue, there's not much action, and there's just all these different characters are referencing other characters, and it was just hard to keep up with. We do get a teeny tiny bit of action at the end when another supervillain gets involved. And I'm not talking about Grim Reaper. It's somebody else that I didn't expect to see in this book. But if you're a Wonder Man fan, especially if you enjoyed the Wonder Man TV series, this feels along those veins. So if you like the first issue, don't miss number 2. And do you have another book before
I have one more.
Okay, yeah.
I just want to mention that we have a Hellboy in Love one-shot coming out this week. Hellboy in Love, Black Eyes. It's just a really fun issue following this kind of relationship that Hellboy has for a short time, I think in the 50s. But about this town, there's some ghosts there, classic Hellboy stuff. So if you're a fan of Hellboy, don't miss on this, because I think sometimes people miss out on some of the Hellboy stuff because they're not an ongoing series, and it's not always even a mini series. Sometimes it's just these one shots, so don't miss out on that one.
Well, my last one, real quick, is A Quiet Place, Storm Warning number 2. And there's a lot more action and craziness in this one there was in the first one. In the past, it goes back and forth between the past and the present. In the past, we see Chief Fry, who is the chief of the little town that they're living in, the little island town. He's trying to tear down the levee that leads to the town, so that the monsters, the aliens, the creatures can't get there, because they can't get across water. It's this little island town in the middle of the Mississippi River. But he does run into some of the creatures. And then in the present, we see this woman, and I don't remember her name. She is with this young child, and I don't remember her name either. But we see them on a boat in the Mississippi River, like in the middle of the water, and they also get attacked by some of the creatures as well. Although the creatures don't do well in water, so it's interesting to see how they try to use that to their advantage. But lots of stuff happening in here. So if you got the first one, don't miss number 2 this week.
And real quickly, I want to talk about something very cool that's coming out this week to comic book stores. This is Invincible. I don't think this is going to hold it.
I'll hold it.
This is Invincible versus The video game. This is actually the deluxe edition that you could only get at comic book stores, especially stores like ours. Now, I don't know if this is going to be up on the website, but we did have a time period where you could pre-order this through us. So if you did, this is what you're going to be getting. It is only the PS5 version. They did not do this deluxe edition for Xbox. They talk about that. We were on some live calls, and they wish they could, but it had all to do with licensing and all of that kind of thing. But you'll be getting this. It comes with a bunch of really cool stuff, including a steelbook, art cards, a letter from the team, a controller guide, a mini comic of Invincible #1, the disc, and you get the DLC pack that comes with 1 year of the DLC fighter, so you get 4 characters in that. I'm not sure how much this ended up being.
Show the back.
Yeah, the back is really cool.
So you get all this stuff right here.
Yep. But on top of that, speaking of comics, you will also be getting this special copy of Invincible #1 with this brand new cover by Corey Walker, featuring, I guess, the first cover appearance of Elemental, since she has not been on the cover of Capes yet.
Right.
This will be the first cover appearance of Elemental, even though this is just a reprint of #1.
So she's not actually in the book.
No, she's not actually in the book, but this is another super cool collector's item by your original Invincible artist, Corey Walker. And yeah, so those are coming out. Now, if you pre-order that from the store and you're coming to the store to pick it up, this does not release on Wednesday. It actually releases on Thursday, because that is when new games release. So we have to follow the same guidelines as any other store that releases video games. That will be coming out on Thursday. So if you wanted to come Wednesday, get your books, then come back on Thursday, get your game, or however you want to do it, you can do it that way. But I want to mention, it's finally time. The game is coming out this weekend, so that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I hope I get to play it and not, I'll be too consumed with Free Comic Book Day prep that I don't get any game time.
After Free Comic Book Day is over on when, well, of course, Free Comic Book Day here runs all weekend.
Yeah.
But after we close on Saturday, go home and play this to unwind a little bit.
Yeah. So that is it for our weekly comic review video. Like we said, super weird week, but it's 1 week out of the year that we are crazy busy here. The shipment is kind of all over the place because they are still shipping out some of the Free Comic Book Day books.
And partly it's my fault too. I have my son's final high school band concert is tonight, so I couldn't miss that. It's his very last one. He graduates high school in a couple weeks, so couldn't miss that concert. So we had to record this early, which is part of the reason why we couldn't show the variants, because those are still being counted and tallied and inventoried in the back. So yeah, super weird week. But to make it up to you, we will have that Free Comic Book Day video coming Tuesday night.
Yep.
Going over all 49 or 50 of those Free Comic Book Day books.
Which I'm still chiseling away on.
Me too, yeah. I'm halfway through my half of the stack.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff to talk about on that, but that will be really fun. It's one of our favorite shows to do.
Yeah.
And then probably next week we'll be back to our pretty regular schedule once the dust clears from
Fingers
this weekend.
crossed, yeah.
But thank you again for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Do all that fun stuff. Let us know in the comments what you're most excited to read and pick up this week.
And thank you for just, again, putting up with this this weird show. This is definitely not our standard, but, we still wanted to put something together for you despite all the weirdness going on.
Yep. Well, until next time, see ya.